Ready when you are.
Oh, we're not still waiting on Debbie?
Oh, we can. Have we heard from her recently?
I don't know, that was at 3 o'clock.
So Sam just pulled in,
Okay.
attorney just pulled in.
Oh, okay. Sam.
I looked.
I did too. Oh, I have all of them.
This is an attachment.
No, I don't. These are our council, which I looked at them.
If she heard anything else, but did she write to anybody else?
Howdy.
But I didn't.
She wrote an hour or so ago that she might be late. She has a doctor, or she has an appointment at 3:45.
She didn't reply to all, so I don't have it.
Might go down and look on my phone. That's okay. You said Sam was downstairs? Yes.
Yeah, because honestly,
We'll wait on her and then we'll get started.
Debbie just pulled in, I think she got a new Ford Explorer.
No.
Just pulled in.
Oh.
No.
Wait, somebody took your card for right.
so we have to know it's returned.
I mean,
Just wait.
oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Where you want?
Steve.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Stand for recite. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Just say we're all here. Mayor Kim Harrison, here. Councilwoman Carrie Rogers. Here. Councilwoman Debbie Gump. Here. Councilman Stephen White.
Here.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Here.
Code Enforcement Officer Marty Lewis.
Here.
Sanitary Board Dee Evans. Here. Chief, Fire Chief Jim Settle. Finance Manager Joe Solver.
Here.
Chief Mike Posey. Public Works Mike Sterrett. Thank you. Okay, next we have a visitor registered under public comment, Mr. Robert Darling. Good evening, thanks for coming.
Oh, well, I felt obliged to come. My name is my name's Robert Darling. My name's in the hat for the vacant seat in Ward 2. And I think probably many of you here don't know anything about me. You can tell from my accent that I'm originally English. I am an American citizen since June of last year. I came to Weston. I came to West Virginia. I'm on vacation, and my aunt kidnapped me. I went to Glenville State College to get a student visa so I could stay. I have an associate's degree in land survey, a bachelor's degree in natural resource management. And I came to Weston in 2005 with a student work permit. Worked for a couple of years. Local and Allegheny surveys who are out of Birch River. And I got a second work permit. I worked for Hunter Bennett in town here where I met the inestimable Betty Brooks. 48 years old is exactly the right age to go to college because you don't have the distractions that younger students have. So I worked and I got good grades. And it seemed fairly easy to do, very enjoyable. So I got a place at Wesleyan to do masters in business. I didn't have enough prerequisites to do anything more specifically associated with what I'd done before. Went home for 4 months. Didn't enjoy England very much at all. Came back to the student visa, went to Wesleyan. I have an MBA now. Go Wildcats. And I was about to go home. I graduated right in the middle of the worst recession that the Western world has seen in probably 10 decades. Too old, compete with the 25-year-olds coming out with the same qualification. But I met my wife at that point. I was just getting ready to go home and maybe get a teaching job or something, go back to England, I should say, not home now, because this is home. Met my wife. Got married, got a green card, stayed. There were no jobs. I started a business doing auto repair, which is, I worked back home, I worked in engineering, automobiles, marine, agricultural. So I've never used my MBA, except that I can now do double entry bookkeeping and run spreadsheets. The most useful things I learned at Wesleyan. Lived here for 20 years. Except for I had a couple of years out on Island for while I was going to Wesleyan. Councillor Rogers surprised me with this thing, which I like to be. I worked here before part-time when Julius Felsberg was mayor and John Hogan was he was pretty well everything, I think. Always interested in city politics, but no vote because I've only just got a citizenship, so no direct input or there's no, I wouldn't have applied before because without being able to vote, it would be and any questions? I really can't give you a whole biography in a couple of minutes, but if there's anything else anybody wants to know.
I appreciate you coming.
Well, like I said, probably you don't know who I am or what I am. So, I've been running my business for 12 years. Councillor Rogers is one of my better customers. She diagnoses the problem for me before I even get to the
Couldn't believe that. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Riley.
thank you.
Next, discussion update on annexation plans.
Well, I don't have any particular legal update, but one update I will give you, from the cemetery side. The person who we have as our contracted operator right now is, his name is Richard Barnett. He is sort of the, calling the regional expert. I think in the area, he's the wastewater treatment operator who's well known to be the guy. And we were connected with him through Steptoe and Johnson. When we needed a plant operator, their contact said, "This is the guy you need to get back on." Barnett has taken a look at the situation out at Stone Coal. And his advice is that the best way to move forward with that is probably to replace the package plant with another package plant. So if we take over that operation, his suggestion is that we would build a new package plant out there. The curbside estimate on that is less than $1 million. The alternative option is the sewer extension. Curbside estimate on the sewer extension is between 3 and 5 million. He does not recommend the sewer extension for a couple of reasons. One is the distance that the extension would have to be put out. That would involve laying a lot of pipe. And one of the challenges you have with an extension that far with that few connections on it is there's an opportunity in the day for, if any of that pipe is laying flat, that sewer would sit there and become septic. And if sewer is septic before it gets to the plant, then that creates all kinds of problems at the plant. And then also, if you just recognize the financial reality that there's not the number of customers to justify a $3 to $5 million expense on that. So his recommendation is a package plant. And one of the challenges that comes with a package plant is that because we are a municipal sewer utility, it looks like in state code, we can't have an orphan plant. So we can't have a plant that's not in municipal limits. That's just sitting out somewhere. We can do extensions beyond municipal limits when it makes sense for the municipal customers. But we can't just have an orphan plant sitting out there. So it really just doubles down for annexation out there, which those citizens, of course, are all in favor. But so I just wanted to give that quick update that he's saying it looks like we need to go towards another package plant. And that just reinforces the need then for annexation, because we, in theory, if we wanted to, we could do a sewer line extension without annexation, but it doesn't look like you can operate a package plant out there without annexation. Otherwise, we're just in a holding pattern with the attorneys. They're still doing their work to make sure everything looks good. Do y'all have any particular questions?
I do.
Okay.
I was able to come to the first meeting, from them from Huntington. So we're gonna put $1 million into this area. What it sounds, right?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have the receipts recovering the cost of this?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're able to do is to create. So right now we have two different classes of customers. Well, I guess 4 different classes of customers. But we have 2 different classes of customers that are inside city limits and outside city limits. When we create another class of customer that's operating on a different plant, that then creates a 3rd class of customer. So the intention then is that those customers are paying rates that pay for their system. So it's not necessarily just being lumped in to the one great big pot. Instead, it's its own separate pot, and those ratepayers are paying for their system. One of the things that we're not sure of right now, we are almost across the finish line with a congressional earmark for the wastewater treatment system. For sewer upgrades and extensions on the east side of the system. We aren't quite sure how that plays in yet. At this point, I would assume that it doesn't play. I assume that. And what is that for? Is that $1.5 million? Is that right? So we're looking at $1.5 million there, congressional earmark. But I think our working assumption is that that is not going to be part of this project.
Just following up on something Debbie Sparkle, if those people are paying for that new package plant, what's the term on that to realize the return on investment?
Yeah, I think we're looking at probably 10 to 15 years. I mean, it's basically our wastewater treatment system is making the upfront investment. And it's a good deal for them. For one of the challenges that they're having right now is because they're a completely private system. They don't have any access to any grant funding, any public financing, anything. So we do have access to all those things. And there's less money out there for package plants than there is for sewer extensions. But our operator thinks that even still, because there is such an environmental hazard currently taking place out there, that there's grant money available from DEP even to replace their package plant. So again, because it's money not in our hand, I'm not counting it, which is why I'm saying the $1 million number. But our hope would be to get that down lower, but that's their interest as a community. Is right now they don't have any access to public financing, they don't have any access to public grants. So that's a big part of what being a part of the city offers them, is the ability to finance that new plant over time.
Will any of this cost, this upfront cost, be conveyed to the ratepayers in Weston?
not directly. I think what is unknown for us right now, and where this can be conveyed to the rate, where this could be conveyed to the ratepayers, is there's gonna be some amount of time in between annexation and building that new plant that we are responsible for operating a deficient plant. And operating a deficient plant is expensive. And I don't think that there's any way when we get the new plant in place, we can base the rate numbers off of the cost of implementing and putting that plant in place. But the plant is so deficient. And we don't currently have a separate rate put in place. So if they annex tomorrow, they're gonna pay the in the city rate for sewer service. And we're gonna be operating a deficient plant out there. So I think that realistically, for that first year, there's a cost that's gonna be borne to the ratepayers.
So we're gonna have to possibly raise rates in town and. Okay.
And they never go back down.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, and we've talked about this in executive session before, I think another rate increase is coming. I don't have line of sight on how operating this plant realistically impacts that budget. Because they're spending what is in the sanitary board's budget, a nominal amount of money to operate their plant. If we were spending what they were spending, it would just be a blip in the sanitary board's budget. But they're operating in a deficient manner that the DEP finds inappropriate. So how much it's gonna take to operate that in an efficient manner? We're gonna have to dig into it to know.
Excuse me, Joe.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of that coin too, the DEP.
Yeah, so something to know about the DEP is that when our last plant operator left, the Weston wastewater treatment plant was left in not as bad a shape as Stonewall's plant, but in a deficient manner. And we had months of bad testing coming out of the plant, months of having failed fecals. And so the DEP has looked at that and said, there's a price Weston's gonna have to pay for that. So they're looking at fining the Weston Sanitary Board. That fine could be negotiated based on affordability, so the number is not something to be worried about, but something that they said in their finding back was, we are keeping from going harder on you because of the environmental cause that we've heard that you've taken on, which is the possible annexation and takeover of Stone Coal plant. So DEP has basically said the Stone Coal plant is so far deficient, it's under a unilateral order, which is the sort of hardest order you can get under from DEP. And they've said they're so deficient that we will give Weston grace for the failures of last year or your continued efforts to try to annex and take over that plant out there.
Didn't know we were good this.
Well, remember, we had the inspection. And we knew that until Mr. Barnett came in and his crew, that there were issues with the former operator there. That's part of the reason.
Where
for that. And that's what we're talking about here is that order that's getting ready to come down as a result of that inspection is primarily, and I would say 90 to 95% based on what happened prior to Mr. Barnett coming there. And the deficiencies that were found prior to that. And so there's always gonna be a fine with the EP. And what they're saying in that order, which we should get this week, I got a sneak peek at it, but what they are saying and what Steptoe has said is that they're willing to come down on that monetary order as well as just the things that we have to do to correct it if we're willing to do some projects, which will show good faith in our effort to not only clean up our own act, but help some of those around us to clean up as well. But they're gonna look strongly on that. That was their number one project to look at, was that one. And it will significantly impact that monetary amount, plus the order itself and how harshly and how long that was.
Thank you.
And I can share that order with you once it comes down, you know, and I actually have it in hand, but without having it in hand, I didn't see any sense in bringing that to you yet until I actually have something to show you, but yeah.
Anything else?
Anyone have questions for Joe?
I do have one other
Okay.
concern about, this area. Being on a hillside, have we inspected the roads out there? And I know there's a possibility of some things coming down the hill.
Yeah, the
That's a
road,
concern, if they were gonna maintain the road, or were we
Yeah.
going to, that's another possible how to consider.
it absolutely is. And this is where the money really counts in annexation. So I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but, the Meadows approached the city of Weston probably 10+ years ago about annexation. And the city at that time said no. And the reason they approached about annexation was because they were worried about the road infrastructure. And the city of Weston sat there and crunched the numbers on real estate tax dollars from bringing in the Meadows versus what it was gonna take to really fix some of that infrastructure. And the city said, not worth it. Still not worth it. And so the Meadows has said, with annexation, we want the city to take over the moves. That is that's their heels in the ground moment, I guess. But with that, this is where then annexation only makes sense when we can annex parts of the business community along 33 leading up to that. So one thing that the EDA has asked me is why not just annex the Meadows? And nothing else along 33 with it. And the answer is because it's completely upside down the city's budget to annex the Meadows and to not annex any of the business community along 33 with it. The only way it starts to make sense is if you start to annex the business community along 33 with it. And so that's, so this is where we kind of, because this is, I think, has been the question and the contention of the EDA. They're not opposed to the Meadows getting their sewer problem fixed. They're not opposed to the Meadows being annexed into the city if they want to be annexed into the city. But they've expressed some concern with the city using annexation by petition to bring part of that 33 business community in city limits. But that is the only way it makes sense for taxpayers. It does not make sense without that.
We have enough budget, road maintenance budget to handle the situations that are going on out there.
No, we don't have the street paving budget to handle up there. We don't have the snow removal budget to handle up there. And the tax dollars that they alone bring in don't make up for it. Which is why it would be a perfect world if we could just annex the Meadows and nothing else. But it just doesn't make sense.
But again, that's one of the things that Steptoe and Johnson is looking into. They're identifying the freeholders in that area.
Yeah, and that is what's taking so long. They're just making sure they've got that buttoned up.
The fear is by the EDA that we would cherry pick to derive the number that is needed.
I think in the end, we have to do what's advantageous for us and the citizens here.
I agree.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Joe, very much.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Okay, discussion of election plans.
Okay, so the next, I might invite Sam to talk a little bit. The next election would be in 2027. So we would have an election in June of 2027 for term start dates of July 1st, 2027. And then after that, we would have an election in 2031, June of 2031 for election start dates of July 1st, 2031. State code says that by 2032, we have to, we are no longer allowed to run our own municipal elections. We have to run those elections through the county elections that get ran in May and in November of even numbered years. So we potentially have 2 more election cycles that we could run. But coming up on those, we need to have a plan for what we're doing that puts us on track with the state. So most likely we would choose to be on May elections with the county. And then we need to get our elections to an even numbered year. So that's going to require some kind of charter revision in order for that to happen. And then the final thing that'll have to happen, and this would probably be after the annexation discussions, is we would have to redraw ward lines to match existing voting precincts. So there's a couple of things going on there. So probably charter revision to put us on track with the even year elections, and then ward map redrawing. So the discussion I wanted to have today, we don't need to come to a conclusion. Oh, and so then the other thing is, because we're going into charter revisions, this would be the opportunity if there were other things you wanted to change about the election or about the nature of the elections. So right now, we elect all 5 positions, all 4 ward council people and the mayor in the same election. If you wanted to move to staggered terms, now would be a good time to do that. It's something that's been discussed. I've heard from you all, those of you who are for it, those of you who are against it. So I know that there's both feelings on council. But that would also be something to discuss now. Sam, what do you have now?
So getting into what Joe said, in order to get into those even years that you need to do, you need to do a charter revision. I'm sure, as you know, I'm not going to preach anything new. That can be done on a charter revision either by ordinance or by petition. Meaning at the next election, you just put it on the ballot. But by the ordinance method, we simply just write an ordinance pulling us into that type of an election scheme, the way that we want to have it designed. We go through the process of the ordinance like we would with anything else. The only caveat to that is that if there would be an objection to the ordinance by the public, then it may trigger having to put it on the next ballot, so that then the public would have to vote on it. I can tell you that I've gone through this before with some other municipalities, and to get into compliance like this, I have yet to have anybody from the public show up and object to it, because you're really just trying to get into what everybody else is doing. The other fortunate thing, and I forgot to bring it with me to give it to Joe, is you may have heard the city of Clarksburg went through this, and they had a little bit of a hiccup in the way that they did it. They ended up with an ethics complaint and went through a few things. The good news is the ethics commission came back and wrote an opinion on it, and they gave us a good mapping outline of how we're supposed to do it. So, you know, as long as we follow that map that they provided for the ethics commission, you're going to be perfectly fine. We just need to know how you want to do it. For example, if we're going to stagger them or not, and how we do that. So it's just it's a process that can be easily done. It's just we need to know how you want to have it structured.
So I guess what I'd like to invite from the council is just some discussion about, I guess, what timeline you'd like to see. Do we want to try to not hold the 2031 election in the city of Weston, by the city of Weston? Do we want to try to have that election happen maybe in 2030 instead with the county? What other charter revisions are you interested in at that time?
Of course, there's a cost to this too.
Well, especially with the war. There's going to be fun. Well, and the cost of the election. So one of the things that, one of the things that I expressed disappointment to our legislative representatives about. The general talk was, this is going to save cities money. You won't have to run your own elections anymore. congratulations, we're gonna save you money, there's efficiency and scale. And it's not true in our case, and I think it's not true in a lot of municipalities' cases. And the reason is the electronic voting. The county has adopted electronic voting, the city has not. When we jump onto the county's, election timeline, and they charge us a prorated portion, of the election costs, that cost is gonna include, the amount that they have capitalized for those machines, as well as the cost of programming those machines every year. And so we've been running municipal elections for a couple of thousands of dollars, and the cost of the county running our elections, they haven't given us the cost yet, but I've been told to expect several thousands of dollars. So we think that the cost of elections are gonna go up when the county runs our elections for us, and it's basically because of the electronic voting. And then, of course, we're gonna have to pay to have our ward maps redrawn to match the precincts and everything else that goes with it. So there's the one-time cost, but then also the ongoing cost is gonna be more. And it was just something, I don't think municipalities were invited to the legislature to speak on it.
Do you think perhaps that might change?
Don't. And I don't even think, to be candid, I don't think the municipal leagues even fight for it. When they set out their legislative priorities this year, not to get too far off track, but the big legislative priority for this year for municipalities is trying to bring back what's called the offset program. So if you don't, it used to be that, if you didn't complete paying a police ticket, that the city could revoke your license. Now we can only revoke your license for failure to appear in court. We can't revoke your license for failure to pay. So if you come in and jump on that payment plan and make your first payment, and never show up again, we don't have a whole lot of be there. We can place liens still for that, and we can place liens in multiple counties. There's other things we can do, but there used to be what was called an offset program, where you could turn in those unpaid tax tickets to the state. And when the state was issuing tax refunds, they would pluck that out of a person's tax refund and send it to the city. The offset program went away a few years ago, and then when the ability to revoke licenses for non-payment went away, it kind of left municipalities powerless. The revoking licenses for non-payment is what cities really want back. But the political atmosphere is, well, you got a license to get a job, and there's this and that, and so there's really no political momentum to bring that back. So the municipal leagues, I think their biggest objective this year is just to try to bring the offset program back. As far as I know, changing the municipal elections is not even on the radar of something they're advocating for. Do you know, Tim?
Well, they talked about it in the call on Friday.
Okay. But yeah,
Everybody's working towards it there, and
yeah, I think it's, and the date was pushed back because it was originally 2027, I think, right? And then it got pushed back to 2031. But I think at this point, it looks like it's coming in 2031, and you gotta be ready.
so
for
we
it.
would go ahead and hold the regular election as it's been determined by our charter in 2027. Then,
Well, so this is my opinion. I think that if we're gonna take the ordinance route, we should try to do the ordinance well enough before the 2027 election, that if there is any pushback, that it can go on the 2027 election ballot. Because if we push it off until the 2031 ballot, then we're really pressed up against the deadline. Does that make sense?
That's
No.
correct.
Yeah.
explain.
Okay, so we can make amendments to the charter through reading the ordinance. But if there's anyone from the public who shows up and says, I don't understand why you're doing this, I don't like this, I contest this, then it has to go to a ballot for the people to vote on. They have to vote on the charter provision. If we hold 2027 as scheduled and don't do anything until after that, and then we bring an ordinance and somebody contests it, then we need to put that before a public vote in an election. So we would either then be paying for a special election, or we would be holding that off until the 2031 regular election. And I think if we hold it off until the 2031 regular election, I think it creates problems with, and Sam, you may be able to articulate this better, but I think it creates problems with extending term dates, because at that point, 2031 election, you're gonna be electing folks, and saying that the next election is gonna be held on a county election. I think it just creates a timeline issue. It can probably, I don't know, something I think, what do you think?
Well, that's what you're getting into. You can shorten a term, but you can't extend a term. And that's what Clarksburg got in trouble with.
Oh,
Because when they voted to amend the charter and they did the ordinance, even though those particular council members that had their terms extended didn't vote on it, they still got in trouble because they said, well, you allowed it to get on. And that was the funny thing about it, is they tried to pass it by ordinance, but they actually put it on the ballot. And even though the public voted for it, they still got in trouble because they extended their terms. So really the issue is, you want to get it out there as soon as you can. I mean, there's still time, but you want to get it out there enough time so that the way the charter revision goes with the election, you'll have people that'll have a shorter term as opposed to extending a term. Does that make sense? So the people that aren't on there, they're gonna serve out their terms, but the people that are coming in, they have to have. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to, it's,
So like the people who would get elected in 2027 would have the shorter term.
May, depending on how.
well, and so, and this then also gets in discussion of, do you want to stagger terms? Because
Yeah.
what we may need to do with 2027 is say, okay, some of you are elected through 2030, and then the others, I mean, and.
Yeah, that's the question, is if you start staggering, then that's where you're gonna get into the shorter.
Yeah. But if you live in the way they're at, then you could just have one round of council and mayor that are elected for 3 years instead of 4.
okay, I'm not understanding this. So the legislature passed a law that states that we have to do this. So we do this by ordinance rather than a vote. And someone contests it, and it has to go on the ballot. And what if the citizens vote that down? Where are you then?
Well, then you'd have to do I haven't gotten that far, but I would suspect that what you'd have to do is file some sort of mandamus action. It would be like a declaratory judgment. You go to circuit court, get an order directing it, and go down that path. But I don't foresee that. Like I said, I've been through at least 2 of these, and I've never had anybody come forward and say,
So essentially,
When the legislature did this, they didn't carve out any particular roadmap for cities to get it done. They just said, you have to get it done. And so because they didn't give us a specific roadmap, we have to get it done through our regular mechanisms, which are, you amend the charter through ordinance unless people contest it, then it goes to a vote. So they put us in an awkward place where they said, get it done through your regular mechanisms, and our regular mechanisms do give folks an opportunity
to vote for something illegal.
Yep. It hasn't happened anywhere yet, though. None of the other towns who have jumped on it have had that issue. But
Just thought I misunderstood.
I think
Yeah.
that's something we come back and discuss. Probably stew on a little bit and figure out what we think.
Okay.
And to think about staggered
Yeah,
terms
think
as
about
well.
staggered terms.
Okay. When do you think you want to come back and discuss?
Anyway.
Oh, my gosh. I saw that.
I'd rather do it, I think, at a work session or a special session than do it at a regular session, because that's gonna be a long conversation.
But we can come back to it.
Everyone bring their thoughts. Yes,
Are you-
research. Yeah,
Are you interested in still maybe discussing it and making a plan this year so that we have something ahead of next year's election? Do you think that's a reasonable ask?
Should do.
That would be my preference.
Okay.
How you all feel.
Well, why don't we get through budget season then, because we'll have a big budget meeting in March, and we'll set in April, we'll come back and
Okay.
keep discussing. Okay, all right.
Okay, next, update of spring beautification projects.
Yeah, wanted to let you know that in the past, we've had, of course, our ups and downs with beautification and flower watering and stuff, and we think we have that solved, And also I wanted to branch out a little bit. And if you remember, like through the hubcap, it was the hubcap program, there was another one, I think, too, to give you some history, that they had really focused, they did a review, that committee did a review, and they really focused on beautification projects downtown. So this year we'd like to expand that, and I've talked with you about going on down through your board, and I think I've talked also with Councilor about expanding to her board. Something I'd like for you to keep in mind is a flower bed. I drew a lovely picture, but it really isn't a lovely picture. I showed you, Adam, I forgot it, and it's funny, but kind of a brick or stone. I think we might have bricks at the street department store, but kind of flower planter around the welcome to Weston signs. And then like a small low growing globe arborvitae that would give us color year round, and then add the annuals into it. And so that's definitely one thing that we're looking at. Also adding some more, Councilor Dump had added some more flowers this fall in her ward, and taking a look at those and asking you to give me a list of what you want down there. And we'll take care of those too, if you'd like. The FFA Club has, they're wanting additional programs and projects. And then there's another group that also wants to come on board. So thinking in terms of spring, hopefully it will be here very soon. If you can just email me your thoughts and wishes and what you would like to see happen, then I would be happy to incorporate that in what we're doing. Anybody have any questions?
No, we're still on for a meeting at the.
Coffee house, yes, we are, tomorrow evening, yes. Mhm. So that's all I have, just short, sweet, brief update.
Consideration of tree commission directive plans for Christmas season.
Yes, okay, I received an email that the tree commission is looking to put Christmas trees at the welcome to Weston sign. And I just wanted to bring that before council, let them know. I expressed my concern because we have no power at those locations and no way to decorate them. I think we're pretty stretched on Christmas decor as it is in decorating what we do decorate. And of course, we're also pressed with the weather. So just wanted to bring it to council to make them aware of that. So
To plant a tree or to just
They're
bring in
planting.
a cut
they're
tree?
planting one of this, they want to, what Robert Weaver said to me, wants to plant a tree at the city building and one at each entryway.
So I'll speak a little candidly to this. We have a member tree commission in the room, but the chairman of the tree commission said, this is something we're seriously looking at doing. He sent that information to me and Sherry. I think we both expressed some concern with that. And I think the response we got back was, well, we'll just see what the tree commission does. And so we thought, well, then we'll see what the council has to say. We'll bring it up to the council.
In all fairness, council should know what's going on.
Yes, yeah, it was an odd, it was an
Exchange.
exchange.
And I know Councilor Gump, you have plans where that sign is over there. That includes some lighting
Mhm.
that is much needed. So. And also another factor is the Department of Highways, of course, which the tree commission is very aware of.
Your sign in Kidsonville is gonna be a huge challenge. You got a ditch and a big steep hill that's nothing but rock. Be very hard to plant anything there, or make planting beds or anything there.
Exactly. And that may not get a flower bed around it. It probably won't, to be honest with you.
I don't know where you plant trees.
No. So anyways, I just wanted to make you aware of that. I plan on attending the next tree board meeting and, so,
All right,
and making some other suggestions.
I think the tree commission needs to reach out to the city council as a whole.
That's a good,
And
Yeah.
to the
Idea.
respective ward.
sure. That's a good idea.
And it may also be that the city council needs to revisit the tree commission ordinance. Because I think there's a lot of latitude on this. And maybe there needs to be a little less latitude in ordinance.
And I think that the majority of the trade commission, they're looking, this is their grant cycle time where they're looking to
Sure.
select projects. And that's another thing I wanted to bring to council, if you have any suggestions to the, about projects in places that you would like trees planted, then send those on to the tree commission for suggestions, because this is the time of year. That's what they're going to be looking at the next meeting. Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The next tree commission meeting is on the 29th. Scheduled for the 29th in front of me. The tree commission can't act as an autonomous body, I'm sure, can it? I mean, the possibility of planting a tree in city properties has got to go to the council before the tree commission can act on it, or are we able to just say, no, we want a tree there, so we're going to put a tree there?
That's a question for the lawyer to interpret the ordinance. What I will say is that they certainly can't spend any money without authorization. And
And their grants have to be approved.
the grants have to be approved, yeah.
And suffice it to say, the work that's been done has been beautiful
It
and
has been,
appreciated in front of the high school. We just want to make sure that we're following protocols as established and
Yeah.
making sure that all stakeholders are comfortable with the decisions being made.
Shannon does tend to push his own agenda.
But that, I will say, Robert, that was a beautiful project over at the middle school because you guys involved all stakeholders. You know, the
Well, there was
Board of Ed and.
There was a problem because I think Nate Stansbury had and Robert Weaver had spoken about that project, and then when Nate left, there was a kind of a breakdown in communications. So when, as I said, Robert will push his agenda.
Mhm.
Not everybody's opinion had been considered, including the residents on the other side of the road. So
Mhm.
we got a little bit of flack, I think, from one or two people passing by, but not from the residents. The school board had not been at all. Chairman's opinion was that it's city property and, you know, the project is there, it's funded, and we can just go ahead and do it. But it's going to become part of the school. You know, those trees are going to become
Right.
part of the school. So
Right.
They do have to stay
Right.
in the decision. For sure. As you have just mentioned, that the citizens of each ward may need to be consulted about what they would like to see. So there's a way to go before you. I saw your design, you showed me.
That shows you, yeah.
I mean,
I can see that artwork.
Literally,
The tree commission did change gears though, and then they
Yeah.
consulted with the Board of Ed
Uh-huh.
and tried to bring in.
Well, you
stakeholders.
actually consulted the board there.
Yeah, well, yeah, we both did. It took a
Straightened
little
it
bit.
all out at the
It was
end.
good, yeah, it took a little bit of pushing, but the tree commission did come along and
Mhm.
and worked very cordially with the other stakeholders, so.
Thank you. Consideration of Arts Council member applications.
The Arts Council, this is another group created by ordinance. The ordinance gives them some latitude, so they've enjoyed a lot of freedom. But one thing that it does not give them latitude to do is appoint their own members. And I think that they were mistaken about that. Those members are appointed by council. And so they have several folks who have very functionally been involved in the group. And have already put in the time. They just don't officially have their name on the list yet. And they're asking that those folks be appointed to the Arts Council. And I'm recommending the appointment of all of them.
Do you want us to appoint them altogether, or would you like singulars?
So you can do it all together, but go ahead and list the names out loud. But I think you can do it all together as long as you're comfortable with appointing all of them.
How do you pronounce Nettie's last name?
I have no idea.
Arosa,
And then our,
Aosa,
AOSA.
Aosa.
Okay, I'll move to appoint Nettie Aosa, Spring Paul, Joyce Garten, and Thomas Newbrough to the Arts Council of Weston.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, great. Next, consideration of the executive session to discuss personnel and legal. Are you requesting that we,
yeah, I request that you go to executive session and that you invite the city attorney this evening.
I move to go into executive session and include the city attorney and city manager.
Second that.
okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Out. Numbers.
Or out of the last.
And does council have an appetite for giving the city manager negotiating powers to try to acquire the property in Shady Brook
Let me just say property discuss
I so move.
up to?
up to 22.5.
I so moved. Okay. So there's a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call. Ward 1. Aye. Ward 2, Stephen.
Yes.
Ward 3, Debbie. 4.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. City manager report.
I don't have much to report. W-2s came in this past week, so be sure to stop by your mailbox and pick those up and get your checks up and things. And then since we have that data now, next month I'll be bringing you the compilation of bringing you report for the last couple of years on salaries and who made what, and that sort of thing. That's all I have for you.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
For a second?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion